And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition here of the PondCast. The PondCast episode 94. Your weekly dose of all things StarCraft. I'm, of course, Joseph VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing people in the chat, and of course by Kuro behind the scenes, handling the production as well. Welcome, one and all, to our weekly wrap-up show, where again we talk all things StarCraft and all things StarCraft adjacent. I do apologize for not being live last week with the podcast, as we were just bogged down and our schedule was filled to the brim with everything, with GSL, with RSL, with our regular weekly tournaments. There was just no room for the podcast, at least not last week, but now we finally are back. It does mean that we do have a bit of a backlog of tournaments to discuss, so oh boy, it's going to be a bit of an intense broadcast here and a bit of an intense podcast. But because of the backlog that we have from 2 weeks of events, we have actually pushed back some topics here. So just to let you know, there was a recent podcast with Kalaris, which we'll be discussing next week. Likewise, there was a new video featuring Gamer Richie and the Lad Legends team, which seemed like another kind of podcast-esque video. We're discussing, more importantly, with this StarCraft miniatures game AMA. They did release a big AMA recently as well, which we'll also be talking about, but that again will all be next week, as we don't quite have the time to fit it into tonight's broadcast, just because we have so much to catch up on. So just as a heads up, next week we will have you covered there. Otherwise, we'll jump into this week's topics here. First thing is first, I'll be honest, I believe they were already part of a different kind of coaching network, but I believe they've now made their own. Shout out to both Laser, DNS, and Spirits. The three of them have launched a new StarCraft II coaching platform called the RTS or myRTSDOJO. Also a pretty nice website. So we have one Terran, one Protoss, and one Zerg. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Laser alongside Spirit and Special were part of a different coaching network. Maybe that's come to an end of some sort, and they're no longer doing that. So maybe they've tried to like formalize things in a more structured way here with the RTS Dojo. So if you do wish some coaching services, if you want to learn from a Laser, DNS, and Spirit, then they got you covered over on the RTS Dojo. Again, there's a couple of different coaching services out there. There's this one. There's, of course, Lad Legends as well. And I feel like there are a couple of others out there. Of course, there's some. There's the Zerg Academy, for example. Lambo does his own personal coaching. And I want to say that there are other content creators or pro players out there. Like Solar, he has his own Patreon where he does his own kind of like guide services and coaching services as well. So there are like a lot of different avenues to kind of get that if you do wish that in regards to StarCraft. Oh boy. So again, shout out to Spirit, Laser, DNS. Wish them the best when it comes to their new coaching platform. Wish them the best. As up next, that leads us into the TLMC 22 voting update. It's been a while. The TLMC, I feel like there's been a big kind of lull here, and from my understanding, there are some things happening behind the scenes, and there's some things that are maybe causing some delays as well. So it's causing things to last a little bit longer than it otherwise was planned to. So again, voting will soon be available. Once again, Wax did give us a bit of an update here, referring to the fact that we're getting a lot of weekly tournaments, a lot of practice, and a lot of experience with a lot of these new maps. It looks like they're waiting to get a little bit more QA and a little bit more feedback regarding these maps before they finalize what the maps are going to be coming into the voting phase. There's no kind of secure time slot yet or time frame, but soon TM. Apparently, Wax did let us know that the early June map rotation should have the new map pool. That is the plan, at least. Whether we can stick to the plan, we'll see. We shall see, but hopefully that's able to come underway, and hopefully voting will be available soon. I would imagine within the next week or so. I would hope so. But I'll actually give us a bit of an update regarding the lack of voting, which, again, it feels like it's been quite some time since I feel like the break has been longer than usual when it comes to when voting will be available. Meanwhile, up next, speaking of maps, shout out to Avex. Avex, he recently did showcase a new map on social media, on Twitter, showcasing some new different ideas. He did mention that it looks like himself, alongside some other map makers, are exploring some non-standard kind of ways to add some features to maps. What I mean by that, of course, in current StarCraft, we have speed zones, we have slow zones, we have destructible rocks, destructible towers, of course. We have healing pads. That's one of the newer kind of features that have been showcased based on maps. You have high yield gases, high yield mineral patches, and it looks like we're playing around a little bit with some force fields as well. Oh, sorry. I say that the healing pad's the latest thing. I guess technically the latest feature that we added was the destructible Zerg debris, which is the Zerg debris that expires over time. I think that would be, I guess that alongside the healing pad were like the most recent additions.
I feel like it's important to mention that the Zerg debris being Zerg, not only does it expire, but it can also be saved with creep, so technically it can be prolonged. And the same way here, this sentry feature, like this one has like force field features, so like it has different properties than just regular rocks.
Yeah, which means there are going to be some units that can break them, right? They're going to be breakable in some way with Ravager Vials, with massive units, I would imagine, as well. So it's an interesting idea to incorporate some force fields. And again, AVEX is alluding to the idea or to the fact that they're testing some other fun things, some other things that can be maybe added to add a little bit of flair and some other kind of strategic value to a map as well. So it's really cool to see. I look forward to what comes next, right? We have some neutral force fields, and we'll see where that takes us as well. See where that takes us. Big shout out to AVEX for kind of leading the charge there, I would assume, and for the map makers for exploring new ideas. It's really cool. Up next, we do have the StarCraft Evolution complete new patch update 1.19.1 initially here. So again, we have a couple of updates to go through. Once again, we have a bit of a backlog just because we did not have a podcast last week, so I do apologize. This was released on the 15th of May, actually. And when it comes to the overall changes, here we go. So here we have a little brief. We have patch 1.19.1 is a follow-up to patch 1.19 with targeted balance adjustments based on ladder and tournament data and community feedback. Our ladder player base has completed over 2,000 matches in the last 6 weeks, giving the balance team unusually rich data. I would imagine that the reason why there are so many ladder games is because of the new ladder invitational that I believe did begin, which we'll be discussing a little bit later on in regards to its progression throughout the season, throughout the tournament. But it's honestly, I feel like already then the ladder invitational was successful, right? If we're incentivizing ladder, we're incentivizing more games, and we're able to get more data, and we're able to make some more adjustments or see what's working, what isn't working, and just get more games played, which is a good thing. Right now, I would say that the SC Evo ladder was very diminished, and it wasn't really seeing too much activity, I would say. But now they're getting a lot more matches, which is a good thing. It reminds me a little bit, actually, of the ladder invitationals that used to be the case in Blizzard tournaments, right? Like back in the day, there used to be ladder qualifiers where the top players on the, say, NA ladder would be invited into like a WCS, like wildcard ladder qualifier, for example. Like that used to be a thing, which I would say was a positive thing. There were some, of course, issues with it. So in regards to win trading, to allow for certain players to get into the top 16, and that had to be cracked down upon, of course. But that was something that did occur. But again, it's not like it was rampant or anything like that. It did happen like 1 or 2 times, and again, like they were able to shut that down and kind of approach that. Do we have with the 1.4K SCL Season 3 Ladder Invitational arriving soon? I've dissected nearly 100 replays and integrated top player feedback into a final set of changes before the event. There we go. Group Stage 1 assignments for Ladder Invitational will be announced soon. I believe it's already been announced and we'll be discussing the event soon in today's podcast. First thing is first, we do have some Terran changes. Increase cloak energy drain rate from 0.79 to 1.28. Okay, so the energy drain rate is going to be increased for the cloak ghost. Decrease attack period from 0.98 to 0.94, so we can attack at an increased rate. And then we have the Wraith increase, same thing with the Wraith in regards to increasing the cloak drain rate for the Wraith as well. Let's hear some of the rationale. The Ghost stack period adjustment aligns with its original value in Brood War. Okay, the adjustments to cloak energy drain rates on the Ghost and Wraith make their values equal to those of the StarCraft II Ghost and Banshee. Although energy regeneration and drain rates vary across units in Brood War, we have noticed that the Wraith's ability to stay cloaked for much longer than the SC2 Terran units circumvent the needs for Brood War Terran players to research the Apollo reactor upgrade or manage their energy usage consciously. I see. So it looks like they maybe had like some closer to Brood War values, and that didn't really mesh too well with the current SC with SC2, so they're going to be adjusting that. Makes sense. Doesn't make sense. Up next, we have the Science Vessel. Science Vessel, ooh, okay. Decrease irradiate damage period from 0.39 to 0.33. Decreased irradiate effect duration. Okay, from 26.8 to 25. Increase EMP shockwave projectile initial movement speed at 0.7 to 3.15. Interesting. Okay, so the EMP shockwave is going to be faster here. And we decrease the effect duration. These changes to irradiate align its damage period and effect duration with the original values in Brood War. Okay, I guess. Interesting. EMP Shockwave has been set up slightly. When the Science Vessel casts EMP Shockwave, the projectile starts at a very low initial speed and accelerates towards a target. We have received many complaints that this ability is hard to aim, but we have long kept the projectile characteristically slow to distinguish EMP Shockwave from the SC2 counterpart. However, especially now with the Science Vessel build cost and build time recently nerfed, they decided to change that. Okay, cool. So basically, earlier it would have been easier to dodge and harder to aim the EMP, and now because they've increased the acceleration, it's going to be faster, as it's going to be more. It's going to be a little bit more reactive, I should say. Cool. Up next, we have Zerg changes. Increased attack damage at 25.5 versus light to a flat 24. Okay, interesting. Due to how quickly Zerglings and Hydras melt to SC2 Protoss Zealots and Splash Damage units, Brood War Zerg has been having some notable difficulty lately in defending until Hive or asserting map control. Lurkers are a bit more durable, but ultimately they still feel not quite as substantial as they should be for a unit which is meant to be the backbone of the Zerg army in the mid-game. We think that promoting the Lurkers' anti-light bonus damage to damage dealt across all units can help alleviate this problem. The reduction in damage from 25 per hit to 24 is intended to allow SC2 Zerg roaches to avoid being killed in one fewer hit. Okay, so that's specifically for ZVZ. Okay. But we'll see. We'll see if this is going to be enough for potential longer and later games. This is one of the biggest criticisms that we've had about StarCraft Evolution, is how rare it is to actually experience the mid to late game in SC Evo, and hopefully the change to Lurker is able to facilitate for that, is able to have a stronger defense, so it forces longer games, it forces more expansions. That's the hope, at least. We'll see. That's kind of one of the big challenges that the SC Evo team have been trying to tackle for the past couple of years. And we'll see if they can. Queen, decreased build time. Defiler as well. Cool. Up next, Proto changes. Increased build time for the Gateway from 46.4 to 48.2. I'd imagine this might be in relation to some certain proxies. Cybercore, decreased build time from 35.7 to 33.9. Due to new metagame developments as well as recent buffs to Zealot production time, Proxy Shield Battery, there you go. Proxy Shield Battery regression has been concerningly effective. Although there are certain strategies which are clearly more effective than others in defending against aggression, we think that this build the spectrum of economic and aggression openers available in Brood War Protoss is highly too great, so determined that nerf was necessary. Cool. Up next is the Reaver. Reaver increased attack range. I want to say, didn't they nerf the Reaver last patch? Something of that nature. And I think they did so to try to promote alternative openers and alternative tech. But here we go. Increased attack range from 9 to 10. Increased attack damage bonus versus massive from 0 to 25. Interesting. Decreased Scarab radius. Decreased Scarab radius from 0.18 to 0.125. Increased Scarab damage attack bonus versus massive from 0 to 25. Okay. Currently, Brutal Protoss is lacking in stable answers to SC2 Lurkers and Ultras. After searching the Protoss tech tree for suitable units to fill the role of countering Lurkers and Ultras, we settled on the Reaver. Rather than thinking of the Reaper with its somewhat inconsistent targeting as a splash damage unit and attempting to compensate, we speak of this all the time whenever we cast StarCraft Evolution, but the Reaver plays a really unique role in Brood War Protoss because you can think of it almost like a disruptor, but at the same time, it's like a melding between the disruptor and the immortal, where the Reaver has that role of the immortal and the disruptor as well. Just because there are no other robo units, of course, so it has to be used to deal with things like ultras, right? That's kind of where its role lies. And it looks like they're trying to push that role a little bit harder here, which I think is a good thing. I mean, this is what players were doing anyway, but that's something that they're pushing a little bit more for here with the Reaver. Makes sense. It was already being used in that way. Arbiter decreased stack period from 2.08 to 1.88. Okay, just aligns with brutal values. Now, what's interesting about these changes is that I believe there was an amendment patch the next day, if not the same day. Next day. So the next day, May 16th, we had the SC Evo patch 1.19.1.1, which is wild, by the way, but sure. So we had a patch the next day, which decreased the build time from 48.2 to 46.4. Wait, hold on. For the gateway. They reverted it. Oh. So they increased the gateway build time, and then the next day they reverted it. Okay. And they made a reversion to the cybercore changes. What? Wait, what? Okay. So they reverted the changes the next day. Interesting. But instead... okay. So they were discussing about how there was an issue specifically when it comes to a proxy Zealot proxy battery, like all-in that was happening. And initially, they decided to make changes to the gateway and cybercore to address this, but looks like they've reverted that, and they're choosing to make changes to the shield batteries instead. Now begins with 50 energy instead of 100 when built more than 12 tiles away from a not necessarily completed nexus. Okay, so this is just like SC2, or very similar, I should say, very, very similar. Where batteries have also, well, like if you remember, batteries are also nerfed, proxy batteries specifically. In the past, that was to help deal with proxy void ray, which was prevalent back in like 2022, 2021-ish era of StarCraft. Ultimately, the gateway and cybercore adjustments did not sufficiently slow down the proxy shield battery regression. The alternatives previously discussed remain unattractive. Going back to the original Brood War shield battery design, it's not feasible. The original Brood War shield battery stunned and immobilized units that healed, which is too punishing for the faster-paced SC2 engine. This means we have to pick our poison and either break the original design of Brutal Protoss somewhere or live with a proxy shield battery regression as it is, following the design of SC2 battery in which its starting energy is halved. Yeah, I was about to say, it's just like SC2, so I don't think that's a bad thing. So cool. They just changed how the battery works. Reaver, they decrease the sight range. Ah, like the Tempest. Okay. Reavers having undergone substantial attack damage buffs recently, they've become more difficult to ambush, especially in the SC2 TVP matchup. This change reduces the sight radius of the Reaver to 1 less, so it does weaken it when it comes to Reaver shuttle harass. Okay, cool. So it was a bit of like an emergency patch here where they adjusted the proxy in a different way. The proxy that was a little bit too prevalent for Protoss by targeting the battery instead, which I think is a good thing. And then they made a slight change to the Reaver as well. Interesting. And I believe these changes were now in effect coming into the latter Invitational. We'll get there. First things first, let's jump into our tournaments here. And the first big one, of course, is the GSL Season 1 Finals. Again, this happened. This is one of the reasons why we couldn't have a podcast last week, because there was just so much going on with GSL qualifiers and GSL Finals and RSL. And we have crowned our first champion for 2026. Now, coming into this event, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun seeing an offline tournament once again, seeing everyone come together here. It was an interesting event because we're entering kind of like a new era of StarCraft, if you will. The first thing that we did take note of, by the way, for this offline event, first things first, if you remember, there was no official Korean stream for the group stage. It was kind of weird, but we did notice that immediately when we noticed that it was the English casters that were asking questions for the winners' interviews, which has never happened before. That's because there was no official Korean coverage. Yes, Inu was casting, but Inu, he was, I believe, regarded more as a community caster more than anything. So he was a community caster. Same with Ryung, for example, as well, who was also like a community caster. So yeah, because of that, there was no official Korean coverage, which was really weird, right? Like, it felt a little bit odd. Obviously, we know that SC2 amongst the Korean viewer base is a little bit diminished. Like, it's not as large as the international audience. That is true. But for them to just not have an official Korean stream, it's kind of weird, and I'm not too certain as to why. Like, I would imagine that maybe I do know that like Castor Park, for example, does ASL. I know that a lot of those guys do they do cover ASL, and maybe this was like clashing with ASL days, or maybe they're just done with StarCraft 2 and they prefer to focus on ASL and on Brood War instead. I mean, obviously I say that, but thinking back on it as well, I would imagine that for the GSL season, they don't have as many funds to maybe even pay out some of the top Korean casters as much as they do for ASL. So it could be a monetary thing where they just can't pay for Korean casters for GSL because GSL is now funded by Patreon. So it's a much more limited kind of funds that they have available there. Limited finances, I should say. So, it's possible that, Caster Park and Goliath and the other Korean casters, like they have like a higher rate, and that rate is met by ASL, but it's not met by GSL. I feel like that has to be the reason, to be honest. Like I feel like that almost has to be the reason here, because I can't imagine that they wouldn't find the time in their schedule to even show up for the finals, right? For the offline events, right? Like if they could, like I'm sure they would, but again, maybe it's like a monetary thing for the Korean casters. So yeah, it's definitely a shame, and I would even say that that's definitely a part that was missing from the Korean event as well. Like shout out to the caster they're able to bring on. Apparently he maybe had some history with StarCraft years ago. But they brought on a sportscaster. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with him, but they brought on a caster who mainly focuses on non-esports related things and has some ties with gaming and esports in years past. And I say caster, he was really more of a host. I should emphasize, he was more of a host than anything. And he did a decent job, but of course it did stand out. Seeing a GSL without Caster Park is kind of weird. It's like there's a part missing here. And I should also mention that who were the official casters in Korean for the offline portion? It was Ryung and Solar. It was Ryung and Solar that were brought on instead. And from my understanding, they did a good job. Ryung, of course, has had a lot more experience as of late when it comes to casting in Korean. Solar, I'm sure he was able to add some expertise as well. To especially covering Shin and casting Shin. I'm sure he did a great job when it comes to that portion of the cast as well. And they were able to kind of like lead the charge while having our new caster kind of be alongside them to kind of like supplement them and support them in his own way. So overall, like the cast, I'm sure went well, but I can only say that because I'm not Korean, so I didn't get to tune into the Korean cast. But it is a bit of a shame. It is kind of weird that there is no Caster Park, that we don't have, obviously, and that we don't have like JYP, Caster Park, Goliath, and some of the other guys. Like they just weren't a part of the broadcast. And again, from my understanding, they're moving on to other things, or they're focusing on ASL, focusing on Brood War. It is a shame. It is a bit of a shame. It was also a bit of a shame. I was hoping that we were going to see a CranKy reunion, an Axiom reunion, even with Crank and Ryung casting. I feel like they would have been an amazing duo. But we theorize that one of the reasons why Crank was not a part of this, even though I would say he's probably the biggest Korean caster right now for SC2, is because I believe he's contracted by Chijik. If you remember, he's been hosting and organizing a bunch of events exclusive to Chijik, and that is a competitor to Soup. Soup, they organize GSL. Chijik, they organize different events. And in saying that, I believe we have Crank, who's actively been working on other events regarding to Chijik, and we're actually going to be discussing one of them here as well later on in the tournaments, at least in regards to control. But yeah, it might be related to that. It might be just because we were actually looking back on some things, and Crank has cast on Soup in the past, but it's been a while actually. Like it's been a while since he's had any kind of Soup coverage, and he might now be exclusive to Chijik. And if that's the case, then he can't appear in a Soup broadcast, which is a shame if that's the case. But I understand that Crank has been working quite closely alongside Chijik with a bunch of StarCraft-related events, whether it's a Lima League or whether it's the VTuber streamer event that they had as well. I know it's been doing a lot of good work there. But it's a bit of a shame that like Crank and Ryung it feels like now they're like split off into their own streaming platforms, right? Where Crank has Chijik and Ryung has Soup. Like that's kind of what it feels like right now, which is a bit of a shame. I would like for them to work together, and be unified once again.
I feel like that was kind of intentional, right, that they split. Like I feel like that was coordinated between them, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think yes, in the sense that they agreed that just so they can cover everything, basically. Like think of us, like think of like, Ryung being able to, like if Crank couldn't do everything, that like then Ryung peels off so he could cast GSL, for example, right? If Crank can't do it, just so they can have a presence on both platforms. But it is still a shame that they can't, be
But
together.
Speaking of, I was thinking since he was casting the entire season, why not bring Inu on?
Yeah, it would have been nice if they brought Inu on as well. Like Inu and Ryung, maybe. That would have been nice. But yeah. That would have been the ideal. That would have been the ideal to have Ian on as well. But yeah, so it's a little bit odd. It's a little bit weird. It's a new season of GSL. It's a new era, of course, and things are being done a little bit differently. Regardless, the finals was a lot of fun. It was great to see everyone come together in an offline event. We had Hero, Cure, Shin, and Maru. Hero took down Cure 3-1 to advance onto the finals, and Shin took down Maru 3-2 to advance onto the finals as well. Shin, he did showcase a style of ZVT that he's been showcasing all year. It's very reminiscent to how he was playing ZVT last year as well. It's very unique in the sense that not many others play quite like Shin right now. The Europeans, Reina and Cyril, don't really embrace this style. Basically, Shin plays very layer heavy and very 2-base heavy and very roach heavy. It does mean that he has often very safe builds and very safe play, and then he has a little bit more of a dynamic mid game, which can be difficult to keep up with. Whether it's, say, going into mutas, for example, which had some success and some failings against Maru, or just rushing into Ultra Tech as well, which, if you remember, is how Shin beat Clem at DreamHack Dallas last year. That's why I say that Shin has been playing very similar to this for quite some time, but he has had some more unique variations this year, where he has a lot more different permutations of 2-base layer tech play. So he's not like a quote unquote like one-trick pony anymore, where previously last year it was almost always just Roach into Infestor into Ultra. Like, it was just game after game after game after game. Now he's mixing it up and he's going Roach into Roach All Ins, or Roach into Roach Infestor Ultra, or Roach into Muta, or 2-Ace Muta, or Link Bane into Muta play. Like, he's had a lot of different styles, and he's also mixing in like proxy hatches and again delayed third bases, heavy gas play as well. He's been very dynamic, specifically in ZVT. And Maru was having a hard time. And Shin took him down. So a big win there for Shin to bring down Maru in the semifinals. That led into the grand finals, where coming into this, if you recall during the cast, I was like, I'm a little bit concerned because Shin's worst matchup is ZVP right now. And I was proven wrong, by the way, in the sense that Shin began up 2-0. And I was like, damn. Like, he was looking very on point as well at the beginning of the series, and then very quickly everything kind of went south. If you remember, and Shin did discuss this in the losers interview, because they did have a losers interview. Game 1 and Game 2, Shin was hyper aggressive with Zerglings, and Hero, because he's Hero, kept moving out. He kept being aggressive himself, and he kept being punished for it. 2 games in a row, he was punished for being active on the map. And then after Game 2, he was like, you know what? Let's just calm down. Let's be more defensive. And then thereafter, Shin would be investing into early link production, and it would not be worth it, right? It would have less value, and he'd fall behind as a result of that, actually. And Shin had a much harder time after Game 2. Hero, he emphasized that in the winners interview, where he was like, I was really surprised by how aggressive Shin was being initially, and I just decided to be more defensive, and it worked quite well. Shin mentioned in the winners interview as well that he didn't really prepare for ZVP because he didn't think that he would make it to the finals, which was a little bit sad. But he did mention that specifically. He actually spoke about this in the season 2 interview, which I guess we'll get to later. They spoke about how he needs to have a little bit more confidence in himself, because in the preparation for the playoffs, he was purely fixated on ZVT, and in his match against Maru, he wasn't thinking about a potential Hero matchup, so he came into it very unprepared. And that's one of the reasons why the finals looked the way that he did, where he only kind of had showcased like one kind of style, and then he got shut down. So unfortunately, Shin came in a little bit unprepared, and Hero was looking solid. Hero became the Season 1 champion, again, the best Protoss in the world, and does crown himself as the best player in Korea for the first season of 2026. GG well played. Congratulations to Hero, and again, an amazing tournament. I do highly recommend checking out the VODs for the playoffs. Do recommend it. Likewise, shout out to Kronos, one of our own. The CranKy Duckling himself was also at the event, and MMA was also in the crowd. I remember during the cast itself, I noticed him initially, and I was like, is that MMA? It's like, what's going on? And then like a couple of extra crowd shots, and the other people in the chat started to notice as well. And they're like, no, yeah, that's MMA. It's like, oh, let's go. So it was really cool to see MMA in the crowd cheering for his boy. He was wearing an SK2 jersey, so cheering for Hero, I'm sure, but also able to meet up with a bunch of old school like StarCraft friends and colleagues as well. Like Ryung, for example. True. I'm sure he was also there to cheer for Ryung. So he was casting with his pink salmon shirt. Team Tuna, papi. Team Tuna. I appreciated it. Esther Ryung. So it was great. It was a great event. And again, there's a bit of controversy because it led straight into GSL Season 2 that very week. Merely days after the finals, bam, Season 2 begins. It's a little bit unfortunate. I personally don't fully understand why there's so little room in between seasons. It might be that they feel like they have to play catch up because the beginning of the year was so bare bones from GSL, and it's like, oh, like we have all this like Patreon money banked up, like we need to spend it, before the end of financial year or something. Should be in June. Maybe, but yeah, like they have these 2 seasons squeezed in back to back, and it's a shame because it means that there's less room to breathe, right? There's less time and less room to appreciate the champion of season 1 if bam we go straight into season 2 and we just move on from there. So it makes season 1 feel a little bit diminished as a result of that. It's a little bit confusing for for the audience. For when we were casting season 2, a bunch of people were showing up in the chat. It's like, well, yo, it's like a rebroadcast. It's like, is this like a rebroadcast of season 1? Like, what's going on? It's like, no, season 2 began. They're like, what? It's like, that's crazy. Like, what's going on? So very, very little room, very little time to breathe, and it also means that potentially this is also going to be we're rushing into the final season of the year. Remember, right now, they're doing crowdfunding for Season 3, but they're still like a couple of $1,000s off. I want to say they're just under $3,000. Sorry, just under $8,000. $8,000 a month. For those who are curious, I believe it's $10,000 a month for GSL to actually run GSL Season 3. And if they fail to reach that goal, I believe by the end of Season 2, they're not going to have one. So potentially, this is the final season of 2026. Obviously, they're still going to be running tournaments. They're still going to be running the GSL CK, which has been a lot of fun. But there's a very real chance that there won't be a Season 3. And it'll be a shame if we just rush through the first 2 seasons and then bam, that's it. like we're just done for the year for GSL. So obviously, ideally, hopefully, the community can come together and we can crowdfund a 3rd season of GSL. But we're running out of time, right? Because we're rushing through these seasons. There's not much time left before we get into before the funding ends for the potential 3rd season. So we'll see. Hopefully they're able to. Hopefully we're able to reach that goal and have a 3rd season. But there's nothing confirmed, of course. Nothing confirmed. That leads us into Season 2. Group Stage 1 has already concluded. Speaking of, this is what I mean. Like, we have like 2 weeks left. We have we have 2 weeks before we crown the Season 2 champion. Under 2 weeks. Under 2 weeks left. Like, it's all just going so quickly here. So we got under 2 weeks to fund Season 3. Let's go. We did have Group A. Group A was Kira, Shin, Byun, and SOS. SOS, sorry, I don't think we even got to discuss the qualifier, so I do apologize. But the qualifier was also last week. It was a couple of days before GSL Season 1 finals. It was before the Season 1 finals. But we do have... so in that qualifier, we had 3 changes. We had 3 players from last season that failed to make it into this season, and they were replaced. Who failed to make it through into Season 2? Trigger did not make it through. Bunny didn't make it through. And Percival. So Trigger, Bunny, and Percival. Those are the 3 players that failed to make it through into Season 2 that were a part of Season 1. And those 3 players were replaced by SOS, by Gumiho, and by Clem. Bearing in mind that for this season of GSL, they did open it up to the international players, international audience, so you don't have to be in Korea to play in GSL because GSL is now online. It would have been nice if this was the case last season as well. But that's why Clem is playing. Clem is not in Korea. Just to reiterate, you can see Clem in the tournament. Clem is not in Korea. You don't have to be in Korea to compete in GSL anymore. You only have to go to Korea for the playoffs. If you make it to the playoffs, you're going to be in Korea to be part of that event. So there's a chance that Clem might go there. So instead we have Clem, SOS, and Gumiho. It's great to see Gumiho return because Gumiho, he at this point is a retired player. He's only part-time. He barely played in any tournaments this year. So great to see some more Gumiho coming into Season 2. I mean, as briefly as we saw him because he is out. Coming into it, we had Group A. We had Kira, Shin, Byun, and SOS. SOS did come in as the weaker link. As I mentioned before, like he is a lot less practiced than he once was, which is why he was not a part of Season 1. But he was able to put on some fun games regardless, able to pose a threat to Byun. Did go down in was the first player to be knocked out. Beyond the second player as well. It was a really brutal group here. Both Kure and Shin are very in form at the moment. They do advance on into the next round. Beyond and SOS are out of GSL. Coming to Group B, we had Zaun, Classic, Gumiho, and Solar. Coming into this, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be Classic and Solar. I thought Classic and Solar were going to make it through. Solar had a very rough time here. It was very emotional as well when it comes to the player cams. For Solar to be knocked out immediately is brutal, especially considering the fact that Solar, he's actively looking for a team. There's a reason why he started his Patreon as well, to be able to continue as a pro gamer, of course. And to be knocked out of GSL in the first round is a brutal start for Solar. So he went down to Classic initially, then he went down to Gumiho. Gumiho was the second player to be knocked out as well, but I'll be honest, Classic was looking very shaky here. Classic, he initially took down Solar 2-1, went up against Zaun, and in the winner's match, in the winner's interview, Classic said it himself that coming into his series with Zaun, he didn't really think much of it. Like, he was very overconfident. He was overconfident versus both Gumiho and Zaun. He felt that once he had beaten Solar, like, it was just going to be like he was just going to cruise his way into the next round, and he didn't take those games seriously, and he struggled. He did struggle. He got 2-0'd by Zaun initially, and then he did go all the way to the ace match against Gumiho. So very shaky play there by Classic. He did admit himself that he played worse than he usually does, and kind of like his own mental kind of got to him a little bit, and he was overconfident and made mistakes, and he did sub up here, and he was very self-aware of that as well. And coming into especially the next round, he does need to tighten things up coming into the group stage 2. So speaking of coming into Group Stage 2, that's going to be tomorrow, by the way. We're going to be casting it live over on Soup. We have been live casting GSL Season 1 and GSL CK and Season 2 as well. Tomorrow is going to be Hero, Clem, Kure, and Classic, a TVP group. Coming into this group, I lean towards Hero and Clem, but at the same time, I know that Classic is the Clem crusher, right? Classic, he has a very strong record versus Clem. I know that Kure has a strong record versus... I mean, everyone has a strong record. I'm looking at this, and recently, Hero, Classic, and Kure have been beating Clem on a more regular basis. I know that Hero specifically has a winning record versus Clem this year. In 2026, like, Hero, he has a winning record versus Clem. So, it's going to be a difficult group for Clem. I can see a world where he doesn't make it through. I can see a world where he does, right? It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a spicy group. Like, I'll be honest, like this is almost, I would say this is a group of death, actually, for sure, 100%. Yeah, this is a group of death. This is a very, very stacked group, and anyone can make it through. Hero, Clem, Kure, Classic, any combination of those players can and should make it through into the playoffs. You could definitely argue that because Classic failed to make it out in first place, it led to this kind of state where otherwise Classic should be in the other group. And I would say that Classic, if he was, he'd have an easier time in Group B. But again, he came second in the group, so he didn't get the luxury of going to Group B. As a result, I'm sure Zaun is very happy. Coming in Group B, we have Maru, Rogue, Shin, and Zaun. Coming into this group, obviously Maru and Shin, they're the two semi-finalists from the last season. They're the two top seeds of their group. Rogue has been looking very spicy in ZVZ, but hasn't really given me too much confidence in that matchup. Zaun, he himself has spoken about how he has been less motivated as of late because there's no EWC, so he has not been practicing as much. So Zaun, he's still, he's got to grind if he wants to make it out of this group. Maru likewise has had some shaky play versus Shin, of course, and versus Zaun as well. We have seen Zaun beat Maru in the late game recently in GSL CK, but that was specifically in the late game. Maru, he's typically hyper aggressive in TVP. It'll be a fun group. It'll be a fun group for sure. Like, in my mind, Maru and Shin are favored. I feel like Group B is maybe a little bit more clear cut compared to Group A, but can still lead to some fun games. Can still lead to some fun matches. Regardless, again, this is going to be taking place throughout the next 2 days. And then next week, bam, playoffs. Again, it is crazy that GSL will be over in less than under 2 weeks, and again, that's why I emphasized earlier that hopefully we can get support from the StarCraft II community regarding a Season 3. Hopefully. It'd be a shame if this is the last season of GSL this year. Meanwhile, speaking of leagues, up next is going to be the RSL, the Revival StarCraft League. This also did begin as well, happening concurrently alongside GSL. I feel like it'd be ideal if this was spread out and players could focus on one and then the other. I feel like both running at the same time is a really brutal schedule for casters, for players, and for audiences as well. So that's a bit of a shame, is what I will say. But regardless, the RSL Season 5 has been ongoing. I believe previously we already covered the group stage. Yes, we already covered the group stage, and now we're here to go over the playoffs themselves. Okay, so in regards to the playoffs here, Solar, he 3-0s Classic, so he gets his revenge from GSL. Classic, he is knocked down to the lower bracket. Solar does advance on the face-off against Hero. Hero, he 3-0s Shin. Strong showing there out of Heroes. Hero also takes down Solar 3-2 as well, a very intense back and forth. Hero, he will advance on to the upper bracket finals. Again, best pros in the world. We expect him to go far. Likewise, Clem, he also takes down his array of Zerg players. Clem takes down Rogue 3-1, takes down Lambo 3-1 to advance on the face-off against Hero. Hero versus Clem, that can go either way. I look forward to it. That's going to be later on this week. Meanwhile, I kind of glossed over it, but Lambo, he had a really impressive showing. I mean, we spoke about this last time. He had an impressive showing in the group stage, and he took down Bunny 3-2. It was a very close, very clutch matchup there. Great to see Lambo excelling and having a bit of a greater showing here. He's down the lower bracket. I wish him the best. Speaking of the lower brackets, Rogue takes down Bunny 3-2. Once again, went all the way to the ace match. Feel like I have to echo what Hero said, where Hero, he was talking about Bunny during GSL, and he was like, hey, I actually rate Bunny really highly when he's in form and when he's practiced, but recently he has not been practicing. And here you can see he put on a really good showing, and I can see a world where Bunny could have taken these games, but we gotta grind, papi. We gotta get that practice in, papi. Yeah. And in the end, Bunny barely did not make it through. Barely. Meanwhile, the big upset of the tournament of RSL, Classic. Classic, he's knocked out of RSL early on here, 3-1 versus Shin. Again, a really surprising result here that Classic has been struggling as of late. They did touch on it during the cast, and so did we as well, that Classic, some of these maps have been favoring, especially like with the RSL map pool, which is a custom map pool, have been favoring aggression and favoring all-ins. Classic has the best late game PvZ in the world, but he has not gotten there. Like in a series versus Solar, in a series versus Shin, he has not been getting to the late game. He does not get into his kind of ideal game state. The games have been ending early. A lot of all-ins. In the Classic matches from the opposing Zerg players. And now we have purely ZVZs down there. Oh my god, we have Lambo versus Shin, Solar versus Rogue. We're going to get the best ZVZ player out of all these players to advance on to lower bracket finals. At least you have a Zerg player confirmed for the top 3. True. You have one Zerg player confirmed for the top 3. Coming into all these ZVZs, it's hard to call. I would say that Shin, Solar, and Rogue, obviously, they're the best Zerg players in Korea. The 3 of them. And when it comes to ZVZ, it can go either way. All 3 of them are hyper aggressive and hyper assertive. Lambo, specifically in ZVZ, I think he can hold his own as well. I do think that he's a threat in ZVZ, more so than the other matchups. So I think there's actually a decent chance for Lambo to go far as well, just because like mind games and openers and builds can be a big factor in Zerg versus Zerg. So wish him the best. Do wish him the best here. I think my tentative prediction is for ZVZ Solar, maybe Shin. Like I can't say it with confidence. I cannot say with confidence like which of these players will come out on top. It can be anyone. But best of luck. And bearing in mind that we're going to be crowning our champion for RSL Season 5 this week. This week, RSL will conclude, so we'll have our champion by the end of the week. We'll be there to cover it live. Up next, we had the WardiTV Spring Championship 2026. The last chance qualifier did conclude. Again, that was last week. Here. Geralt, he took down a Strange 2-1, took down Percival 2-1. Ooh, big wins there for Geralt, by the way. Does advance on to the main event. Likewise, Skillus, he takes down Nick Racked at 2-1, takes down Mana 2-0 as well. So Skillus alongside Geralt do qualify for the main event. When it comes to the main event itself, we did have a plethora of players from qualifiers and from standings and from seedings. We had Zaun, Classic, Hero, Max, Shameless, Geralt, Mana, Showtime, Skillus, Strange, Cristiano, and Trigger. Jesus, it's a lot of Protoss, by the way. We have the best Protoss players in the world, Classic, Hero, and Max. And Sound. and Skillers and Showtime. Jesus, we have straight up the best pro players in the world. For Terran, we have Bjorn, Clem, Percival, Cure, Nickrat, and Ryung. Okay, we got some decent Terran representation with Clem alongside Cure and Bjorn. Of course, and Ryung as well. Ah, true. We have the Tuna Terran. For Zerg, we have Shin, Solar, Lambo, and Rogue. So not too much Zerg representation here, only 4 Zerg players. Hopefully they get spread out. Hopefully there's no ZVZs in the group stage. Looking at you, Wardy, I would imagine he would intentionally spread them out throughout the tournament. Jumping on in, we had the initial seeding groups. It's just for seeding purposes. Classic comes out in first place, followed by Heroes, Zan, and Bjorn. Clem coming out in first place in Group B, followed by Maxwell, Shin, and Solar. So just, again, seeding matches, nothing crazy. That leads us into Group Stage 1. Here we had Rogue, Geralt, Showtime, and Nickrat. Okay. Hold on, where are the other players here? I guess the bracket itself has yet to be seeded, and the group itself as well. Okay, interesting. Okay. So from my understanding, Clem and Classic, they've been seeded into the next round. Same with Max, Shin, Solar, Heroes, Down, Beyond. They're all seeded. They're all seeded into the next round, into Group Stage 2 specifically. Or even into the playoffs, actually. I'm not entirely certain. But for Group Stage 1, we had Rogue, Geralt, Showtime, and Nickrat. A little bit surprised here. So Rogue comes out in first place. Geralt in second. Oh, Geralt, he took down Showtime 2-1. Took down Nickrat as well. Showtime, he went down to Rogue and Geralt. It all came down to that PvP. Geralt versus Showtime. For Geralt to defeat Showtime, that's a big win for Geralt. It's a massive performance here, and he does advance on to the next round of the group stage. Up next, we had Group B. It was Trigger, Mana, Cure, Mana, and Christiana. Coming into this group, I would say that Trigger and Cure were favored, and they do make it through, but I was going to say that Cure was favored to advance on over Trigger. That was not the case. So their series went all the way to the ace match, and Trigger did defeat Cure 2-1. GG, well played. A big win there for Trigger. Big win. Looks like in 2 days' time, we're going to have Group C. Group C is going to be consisting of Skillus, Strange, Lambo, and Ryung. Coming into this event, I would assume that Ryung and Lambo are favored, but I only say that because Skillus has been less active as of late, right? Skillus, he has not been playing in many tournaments, so I have a really hard time placing Skillus' current level of play. I would like for him to advance on Strange as well, but I can't with certainty say that Skillus can take it to Ryung and Lambo. So for now, Ryung and Lambo tentatively are the favorite players. We'll see if Skillus can cause an upset there. We can bring them down. And again, next week, that leads into Group Stage 2, and then into the playoffs as well. The event itself has yet to be fully seeded, and I'm sure we'll get a better picture of how the event will turn out in the coming weeks. So best of luck to Wardy as he does host his Spring Championship. Up next, we have our modded tournaments here. First, we do have Chijik. Chijik looks like, I mean, they've hosted a couple of StarCraft Evolution events in the past. And I want to say, did they work with Prome? Correct, right? I believe Prome, he did sponsor and organize an event with Chijik earlier in the year. Looks like here Control did organize an event with Chijik as well. When it comes to the event itself, I'm curious here how the teams work, who the teams even are. Like, it looks like a bunch of amateur players. I recognize Mang Russell, of course. He's a very active player in the SC Evo scene, but these other players don't even have IDs associated to them. Let's have a look here. Are they even just IRL names? Yep, they are. Okay. So they're just these players' names here. So yeah, really interesting to see more of an amateur, like kind of like team league tournaments for StarCraft Evolution take place. I hope it went well. You know, shout out to Control for organizing and for, I would imagine, casting it. Looks like it was not covered in English, but really cool to see Control hosting this event as well. Let's see, what are our team names? Google Translate. Can we get anything? So it looks like we had Team Smarty. We had team, what's Mang Russell's team? Team Man ED's Overmind. Okay. this Team Overmind, I'll say for now. ED Overmind. Don't know what that's a reference to. We had a Team 3, which is called Pretty Girls. Okay. Might have been an all-girl team. Or not. I don't know if it's like a reference or something. And then the final team was Team Sunflower. Lovely. Beautiful. In the end, I mean, coming into this, I would favor Mang Russell's team just because I would say he's the ace player. He's going to be the heavy favorite, and it looks like he did lead his team to victory here. So Mang Russell's team, they took down their initial opponent 2-1, and then they took down in the finals in the best of 3 as well 2-1 as well. So congratulations. I mean, again, like I feel like that team was heavily weighted just because Mang Russell was a part of it, and he came in, and I don't think he lost a single game in this team league, but it is a team league, like, it was a team effort. Other players were also involved as well, but congratulations to team ED Overmind. Congratulations. GG well played, and we'll see if Control hosts more events like this in the future, hopefully. Up next, we have the 3D Clan 2v2 Rumble. 3D Clan, they've been hosting a lot of SC Evo 2v2 events over the past year of play, and they've held another event. Here we had Death Mars and Zardiant, Islesop and Art, we had Bratok and Midvk, and Milky Cow and Shameless. Interesting pairings here. Usually we see like Gigi Machine and Shameless, or Young Yakov and Shameless, but neither of those Zerg players were actually a part of this event, only Islesop. So mainly Terran and Protoss duos here. Death Mars and Zardian took down Islesop and R 3-2, and advancing on to the grand finals. Milky Cow and Shameless, they took down Bratok and Midvk 3-1. Then we had the grand finals here. Death Mars and Zardian, they do claim the series 3-0. Again, they are well versed in 2v2. We've been seeing them excel in the thermal circuit, and they excel here as well, winning 3-0 in the best of 5 finals. GG well played here to Death Mars and Zardian for claiming the win in the StarCraft Evolution 2v2 matchup, or 2v2 tournament. Up next, we had, speaking of StarCraft Evolution, we had the SCL Season 3 Ladder Invitational. It's a little bit weird because I believe this is the first Ladder Invitational, but it's the 3rd season? Question mark? I say 3rd season.
It's the 3rd season of the Evolution League, I guess.
Yeah. So season 3 means like the 3rd year, or as you said, the 3rd season. It's a little bit weird, but sure, we'll go for it. It's the first Ladder Invitational, but it's also the 3rd Ladder Invitational. It's fine. For this event here, again, based on ladder performances, players were invited. We initially had the qualifier, and I think we covered this last time, actually. Yeah, we already covered the qualifier last time. So here we have the main events. When it comes to maps, we have Death Valley, we have Golden Wall, Holy World, Karas Passage, Mothership, Radion, Ruby Rock, Sylphid, and Vermeer. I was hoping for a new map pool. It's a shame that they still don't have one. How long have we had Sylphid and Vermeer? Like, I understand that they're good maps. Give us some new maps. Jesus. I'm getting at this point. I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of Sylphid and Vermeer. Get him out of here. What are we, overgrowth? Like, what? God, they're gonna last like 5 seasons at this point. Jesus. So coming down here, we have our top players. So based on the SC Evo ladder, we have Blask, Deathmars, Prome, Rake, Rebellion, and Star-At for Protoss. For Terran, we have Dice, Holmono, Huarang, and Mang Russell. Zardiant did forfeit his spot in the event. And for Zerg, we had Rumiath and 3-Point. So I was curious if there were going to be any new players kind of showing off here in the ladder for StarCraft Evolution. I would say no. I guess Huarang a little bit, and Blask. Those are Blask I haven't seen play in a long time, so great to see him, I guess, showing off here. And if I remember correctly, Blask, didn't he recently play in the 2v2 tournament in your thermal suture circuit? Am I crazy? I could be crazy though. So just double checking here. Blask, he hasn't competed in a tournament since... Oh no, he was in the SEL doubles tournament. That's it. He played with Goblin. Let's go. A double Croatian team. Played with Gobo. And before that, he last played in Nation Wars in 2022. So it's been 4 years. That's crazy. 4 years since he's actually competed. And even then, even before that, he didn't really compete seriously until 2018. Wow. Sorry, he played in the 2022 qualifiers for Nation Wars, and before that he played in 2019. So it has been so long since Blast was an active competitor, and great to see him back. Cool to see Goblin reach out and bring Blast on to compete in some way. And apparently he's been enjoying some StarCraft Evolution. I look forward to it. From the qualifier, we had Classic, Beyond, and Shin, and from Invited, that's where I'm most curious about. We had some invited players. We had Cure and Milky Cow invited for Terran. We had Creator, Max Pax, and Skillus invited for Protoss. And we had Islesop, Minizerg, Solar, and Young Yakov invited for Zerg. Interesting invites. Interesting that MiniZerg was invited and not GG Machine. I would imagine that GG Machine has a little bit more experience in StarCraft Evolution. For Protoss, these invites make sense just because I would say that Creator and Skillus have the most experience with StarCraft Evolution. MaxPax less so, but he's like a fun name to throw in. Cure, of course, has been looking like a beast as of late, and Milky Cow as well. So coming into the group stage here, we had Group A. We had Rumieth, MaxPax, Dice, and IOSUP. Coming into this, Rumieth and MaxPax were favored here. I mean, I say favored. MaxPax is coming in as a wild card just because we don't really know how he'll perform in StarCraft Evolution. Did fall to Dice initially, but then he won in the rematch 2-0. So MaxPax does advance on in second place. Group B, we had Solar, Skillus, Homeowner, and Rebellion. Ooh, that was a rough group for Homeowner and Rebellion. I feel like they might have had more success in different groups, so that's a bit of a shame. But Skills and Solar, they do advance on in first and second place. We then had Group C, Cure, Creator, Prome, and Mangrasul. Again, Cure and Creator do advance on in first and second place. Group D, we have Rake, Deathmars, Milky Cow, and Shin. I feel like that's a bit of a weaker group here. Shin is going to be coming in as a heavy favorite, and I feel like Milky Cow alongside him. We'll see if Deathmars and Rake can cause some upsets there. So we have our initial... Oh, and we have more groups, actually. Jesus. We have Group E. We have Huarang, 3-point, MiniZerg UA, and Classic. I feel like coming into that Classic and 3-point are going to be favored to make it through. And Group F, we have Blask, StarAt, Young Yakov, and Björn. I'll say that Björn and Young Yakov are favored there, but I'm excited to see how Blask has been performing on the ladder. I'm excited. So yeah, it's a pretty big group stage here. I hope the players have been enjoying themselves. Hope we're able to gather some data when it comes to how the game should be adjusted and changed. And when it comes to our coverage of this event, we most likely will be covering some of the Invitational via replays. Of course, we haven't been able to cover it live, but we'll either cast the playoffs, at least the playoffs. We might cover the group stage 2. We'll see. Lately, we just haven't had our schedule's so full. But when RSL wraps up and when GSL wraps up, we should have a leaner schedule and we should have time for some other events.
Not that phrase again. Do you want 3 different tournaments to be announced on the same weekend?
No. So we'll see. So coming into June and July, specifically July, we might have time for some StarCraft Evolution to cast here on the channel. But otherwise, we've just been booked up. But hopefully we'll be able to find some time coming into July. Up next, we have the Patches Patch Clash number 6.5. Okay. Interesting. Double Elimination Tournament here for the Patches Tournament. Patchy does have his own custom mod, which has a wild array of changes. Coming into this, we had Juanito, we had Homeowner, Mixu, Hapsaya, Deathmar, Zardians. Decent lineup of players here. I would have said that Juanito would have been favored, but Special, he takes on Eba 2-0. Special, he loses to Deathmars in the upper bracket, and then he forfeits against Eba. Oh my god. Juanito. So Eba, he gets the walkover win over Special, and Eba, he does face off against Deathmars in the grand finals, where he does fall, but not a bad run here out of Eba, taking down Mixu with his Protoss, getting the win over Juanito as well, and making Deathmars work for it in the finals as well. GG well played. Eba, as he does come in second place, Deathmars in first. So up next, we did have the Patches Patch Clash number 7. And more recently here, we actually had a massive... Hold on. Did we have an increased prize pool? So number 6 had a prize pool of 250 USD, which is still massive, by the way. It's a huge prize pool. Number 5 had 230, and number 7 had a massive prize pool of 700 USD. Oh my god. And that is what attracted all these top players. So we have Björn, we have Clem, we have we have Ubithermal. Ubithermal also showed up as well. Solar, Shameless Mana.
I like how you say it. We have Björn, we have Clem, we have Mana.
Mana, he doesn't care. He showed you got a $10 tournament, he'll be there. Okay. He'll be there, man. He'll be there. Oh my god. But yeah. So a massive prize pool. From my understanding, I believe Rotterdam was casting this. I know this because he gave us a raid. He gave us a raid when this event did conclude. And I was surprised to hear that he was casting this tournament. So there were a lot more eyes on the event, and great to see some big names taking part and incorporating the patch mod in its own unique way. Hope the games are good. We had Solar. Solar took down Homeowner 2-1, took down Mana 2-0. Shout out to Homeowner for taking a game. Solar, he 2-0'd Beyond, and then he 2-0'd Shameless in the upper bracket finals. Meanwhile, Shameless, he took down Clem in the upper bracket semis. No shot. That's a crazy upset. Shameless takes down Clem initially, and then Mana eliminates Clem for the tournament. Not the first time that Mana has beaten Clem this year, by the way. Mana, he's a beast. He's an animal. Again, he takes time to charge up, and then bam! Takes down Clem. Even here, takes a map off of Björn. Björn takes down Mana 2-1. Björn takes down Shameless 2-0, and then Solo with a 2-0 win over Björn will claim the win here. I'm actually really curious to see how these games played out because there are just so many changes made to these games. I'm curious if everyone just all in or if we actually got to see the mod come into play. Very, very curious. I'm tempted to reach out just for some replays, just to have another cast. I'm tempted. We'll see if we go for it. We'll see. Regardless, that leads us into our amateur tournaments here for the week. We have the Amateur League Weekly number 159. Again, there's a weekly tournament here for every kind of every brackets of MMR. Initially, we have the Initiates Amateur League Weekly for Bronze to Platinum. Here we have 3 players. We had Drivi, we had Tebs, and we had Dollar Tree Dipper. Here, Jivy does take down Tebs in the grand finals, 1-0. I'm curious if that was looks like those little walkovers actually. Yeah, it looks like a little walkovers here, and hopefully they're able to play out their matches. I'm curious if it was actually a 1-0 or if he won 3-0 and they just misreported. Hard to say. But regardless, GG well played. Divi does claim the win. That leads us into the Veteran Edition. This is Diamond 3 to Diamond 2. Here we had more regulars. We had Pretty Fly, Glacius, Balimko. We had Revio and Eru Learns for the first time. A little bit less familiar with him. And then Balimko, he takes down Glacius 2-1. He does fall to Pretty Fly in the initial round, but he does come back in the rematch and takes down Pretty Fly 3-0. GG well played. Balimko, he does claim the 3-0 and is our veteran champion for week number 159. Up next, we have the Prestige Edition. Here, less signups than usual. We did have Zigger, Boreal, Steez, Herald, Matrix, Set, Defiance as well. So a lot of regulars here. We're missing Beast. We're missing some of the other regulars. Missing Milka, for example. But here we had Herald, who got knocked out early on, but he came back from the lower bracket. He takes down Boreal, takes down Set, takes down Matrix, and does take down Steez 3-1 in the grand finals. GG. Crazy comeback there from Herald. Up next, we had our Elite Edition, which is for GM players. We had an Inexorable win with a walkover. GG. GG well played. Inexorable does get the walkover win. Congratulations. Unfortunately, the GM edition doesn't really have many signups just because there's no prize money associated for the weekly tournaments. It does lead into eventual prize money in the monthlies or in the seasonal events, but for the weeklies, there is no prize money, so less incentive for the top players to compete. Up next, we did have the Amateur League Weekly number 160. This was this week's tournament. Here we had Merlot. Merlot takes down Dollar Tree Dipper 2-0, takes down Drivi 3-1 in the grand finals. We actually had a proper best of 5 this time, so congratulations. Merlot does claim the win. That leads us into the Veteran Edition. This is Diamond 3 and Diamond 2. Once again, a hefty lineup here. I do love to see a stronger lineup, but more players, more signups. We had Sugarcoat the Second, we had Lauren, Mr. Vister, we had Revio, we had Bobson, we had Old Lady, Lucid Shadow, Pretty Fly, Balimko, a lot of regulars here, and even some newer faces. Great to see a strong signup or strong signups for this event. We had Sugarcoat the Second taking down Lauren 2-0, taking down Bobson 2-1, takes down Pretty Fly 2-1 in the upper bracket, and then does win in the rematch 3-2. Went all the way to the ace match. A very intense back and forth, and great to see Sugarcoat the Second improve over time. Previously, a couple of months ago, even a year ago, he was still kind of like working and rising through the ranks, but to win this event is a huge accolade, a huge win here for Sugarcoat. GG. GG well played. That leads us into the Prestige Edition for Diamond 1 to Masters 2. Here, also a bit of a stronger sign-up. So we had Defiance, Zigger, Vendetta Vic, we had Jashard, Ilya, Hidic, and many others. This time, Matrix popped off. Previously, I believe he went down in the lower brackets. In the lower brackets finals of the previous weekly. Here he takes down Ilya 2-1, takes down Beast 2-0, big win there for Matrix, takes down Steez 2-1, and takes down Beast 3-1 in the grand finals rematch. GG, well played. Matrix looking strong this week. Does claim the win. He's a Polish Protoss player. That leads us into the GM edition here. We actually had a series. We had Nux happening versus myRTSDOJO, and myRTSDOJO does get a walkover win. Never mind. God damn it. It's a walkover win over Nox happening. So that we did have 2 signups, but no matches were played. Looks like walkover there. myRTSDOJO does walk away with the win. GG. Shake your head. GG, well played. That leads us into our initial 2v2 tournaments here for the week. Bearing in mind the Euthermal circuit is on the horizon and will soon begin, but until it does begin, we do have some warm-up cups. Let's go. As a result, there are no points allocated to these tournaments. It's just a way to keep players competing and playing 2v2 in preparation for that big circuit. So it is single elimination tournaments here. We did have some interesting lineups. We had Skills and Laser. We had the X Team Liquid team. Lambo and Spirit played together this time. Interesting. They don't often join forces here. We had Mini Zerg and Sickness. We had Def Mars and Zardians. Shameless and Young Yakov. McDonald's and Jonathan. Interesting. Bjorn and Shin and G Machine and Showtime. That's also a new pairing. GG Machine is usually playing with Shameless. Shameless teamed up with Young Yakov this time, so GG Machine, he found the replacement, man. I don't know if you remember this, but that's who Showtime is. Basically, whenever someone needs a teammate, Showtime is there to fill in. He's there to fill in. He's filled in for MaxPax when MaxPax was absent to play with Spirit. He's filled in for Hearthstone when Hearthstone was unavailable to play with Lambo. He's played with Euthermal, of course. And here you can see he's filling in for Shameless, playing with GG Machine. The replacement, man. Let's go. Let's go. Este Showtime. And I'm pretty sure there are other examples of that as well, where he just plays with whoever needs a teammate. As they do make it all the way to the finals here. We did have G Machine and Showtime. They took down Bjorn and Shin. They took down Young Yakov and Shameless. And they went up against Skills and Laser in the grand finals, where they did get knocked out, but went all the way to the ace match. So an intense back and forth here. Skills and Laser, they claimed the win. That's a big win, to be honest. The Skills and Laser, I think they have made it to the finals before, but this is their first win in the 2v2 tournament. So GG. GG, well played. I believe there are 3 other warm-up cups scheduled before the main event begins. Up next, we have the World University Team League Division 1. Oh my god. This interesting. So it looks like we have teams associated, or teams that have been submitted here from all around the world based on their universities. Interesting. Yo, we got a Brazilian university. We got Eric and Inexorable playing together. Let's go. We got Eric and Inexorable together. We have Magnath and Sebestis. We got Jay and Teardrop. We have Rewhite TATP. Oh, looks like we can have some bigger teams, actually. At least 2, but there are some 3-player teams. We have Green Earth and Patches. Apparently, they go to South Alberta together. We have Jackson State, which is Fiant and Foxer. Is Fiant in America? Is that what that's telling us? What? Okay, interesting. We have, who else? Jello Loves and Miggy. They're in East China UST. Beijing is Rewhite TATP. So yeah, really cool to see these pairings here. At a glance, who do we favor? Obviously, the Brazilian team, right? Like Universidad Federal del what? I can't even see.
The Pelotas.
The Pelotas. Beautiful. I imagine that's like a district in Brazil. I'm not too familiar. But yeah, Eric and Inexorable, I feel like they're going to be one of the stronger teams coming into this. Magnath and Sebestis, they have some potential for sure. Fiant and Foxer, true. They're also going to be a spicy team as well, for sure. And it looks like we have our group stage. Okay, so let's jump on into the group stage here. Group stage finished? Wait, what? No. Hard to say.
So the results are complicated because nothing has been entered on Wikipedia, but there are some scores on challenge, so I'm not sure at exactly what point the tournament is right now.
Yeah. I would imagine that the group stage isn't done yet. Let's have a look here. It might be actually. Huh. Hold on.
No, I don't think it's
Hold
over
on.
because there are only like a few scores, so I think not everybody has played it.
Yeah. It looks like we still have some standings and some matches to conclude. Most of it is done though. I'm looking at this. Let's see. Unfortunately, there are no details for the series. Like, you can see who won and who lost, but there's no like in-depth details as of what's been happening here. Regardless, wish them the best. Wish all the teams the best, of course. We're going to be cheering for Inexorable and Eric. No bias whatsoever. But best of luck. Bearing in mind, there's also a second and third division as well, where we do have some other universities represented, but with like lower tier players, right? That was like Division 1 for the upper tier players. Division 2, I would imagine, for like Diamond players, for example. And then Division 3 would be for like maybe up to Gold, or maybe up to Platinum. So different divisions here for all of our teams. And wish them all the best. Wish them all the best here. It looks like a really fun tournament. Hopefully it's casted somewhere. Hopefully it's showcased somewhere, and we can see some of these games at some point. Hopefully. Up next, so we do have the StarCraft II Community Team League 2026 Spring Regular Season. Oh boy, I believe 2 rounds must have concluded by now. They have round 7 and round 8. Coming into round 7, we had Elpis. They took down Rookie Warpgate 6-0. Strong showing there from Team Elpis. We had SLT take down Leor 5-1. We had Elpis 3 fall to Team Little Fairy 2-4. So big shout there to Little Fairies. They do claim the win. We had Team Old Man. The Old Man, they take down Fairy Thug 6-0. We had PCEC taking down Turbo Project 4-2. Looks like Daydreamer was able to claim his wins. We had Team Super Kitty take down Team Hist 4-2 as well. We had Team Kawada take down Protoss the Best 4-3, went all the way to the ace match, intense back and forth. Then we had Team Super Puppy get a walkover win over Team Astartes. Okay, so round 7 did conclude. That led us into round 8. So round 8, we had Team Astartes. They actually showed up this time. They take down Kawada 4-3. I believe there are no players actually inputted into the matches there, but I would imagine that these scores are correct. We then had a walkover win. Super Puppy, they take down Team Elpis 3 with a walkover win. We had Super Kitty take down Protoss the Best 6-0. Strong showing there by Super Kitty. We had Turbo Project take down Hist 6-0. We had Team Old Man fall to PCEC. Oh my god, what happened here? Okay, so initially we had Cyan. Cyan, is that Millennium Fox? Hold on. Was that Sarah Kerrigan? That is Millennium Fox. Okay. So big win there. Cyan takes down Millennium Fox 2-0. I don't know why that isn't his alternate IDs. But as he takes him down 2-0, he finally has his own Wikipedia page. We then had, is that Sarah Kerrigan taking down Kingslayer 2-0? It is. Okay. See, I recognize these names. So Sarah Kerrigan takes on Kingslayer 2-0. That's a huge win for Sarah Kerrigan. And then we had, I think that is Nanyu. Nanyu tied 1-1 with Coffee. Yep. That's Nanyu. Nanyu ties 1-1 with Coffee. Then we had the ace match. We had Jeshi versus Nanyu, and Nanyu gets the win. Big win, by the way. A little bit surprised they didn't use Cyan in the finals, but I would imagine they just wanted to showcase their entire team. So Jeshi came out swinging in a best of 1, and Nanyu takes him down. That's a big win for Nanyu. Big win for PCEC. GG. GG, well played. PCEC with the younger up-and-coming players. They take down the old men. They take them down. They just take their canes away and push them to the ground.
I was gonna say that they like chipped them up or something.
Just tripped them up and just ran away. Ah, no. Someone help them back up. Someone. Este Cyan. I feel bad for Kingslayer being in there because, again, I'm pretty sure he's in his 20s. Like, I'm pretty sure he's quite young. But,
old by esports standards.
Oh, true. Old man. Ah. Up next, we had Rookie Warpgate. They went up against Fairy Thug. A 5-1 win there for Rookie Warpgate. We then had Team Elpis. Elpis up against Starlight Twinkle. Ooh, this was the next big matchup here in round 8. SCV takes down Jolova 2-0. Again, SCV has been improving heavily. I traditionally would favor Jolova over SCV, but SCV has been getting some very good results over the past couple of months, to the point where now he's more favored here. So big win for PCEC. Young Zest towards Lemon. Oh, that's an upset here. Like, I say that Young Zest is a really good player though. I can see that going either way. Like Lemon versus Young Zest, I can see that going either way. But I would say that Lemon is the ace player for Elpis. To see him go down is a little bit surprising here. Up next, we had Miggy versus Triple H, and Miggy does take down Triple H 2-0. GG, well played. Elpis, they claim the win. Big win here as Starlight Twinkle is another big team in the league. That leads us into 3 rounds left. We're almost done. 3 rounds remaining here. We have next round Elpis 3 versus Leor, Elpis versus Team Little Fairy. That's going to be a fun matchup to keep up with. I would favor Elpis, but best of luck to Little Fairy.
You didn't say Little Fairy versus Leor.
All right, yes, and Little Fairy, they take down Leor 5-1. 5-1. GG, well played. That wraps up round 8 for the team league. We have Elpis versus Little Fairy next week, which I do look forward to. We have Fairy Thug versus Starlight Twinkle. Best of luck. PCEC versus Rookie Warcrate. Hiss versus Old Man. Protoceleste versus Total Project. Star Tease versus Super Kitty, and Super Puppy versus Kauda. Coming into the next round, it looks a little bit one-sided here when it comes to most of the matches, but I do mostly look forward to Little Fairy versus Elpis. I do look forward to it next week. And again, still 3 weeks left for the group stage to conclude. Best of luck. Best of luck to all the players. Best of luck to all the teams. Best of luck to Little Thug and Super Puppy. Okay.
Little Thug? That's not what I name is, but
yeah.
Sure.
yeah, Little Thug. Fairy Twinkle. Beautiful. That leads us into our regional events and show matches. There's still a lot to get into here. Up first, we do have Code for Giants Cup. Code for Giants Cup number 31. This is a Brazilian-only bi-weekly tournament. Here we are featuring the top Brazilian players. We had Master, we had Inexorable, we had Newt, we had Espartano. Unfortunately, no Eric. Yeah, there's no Eric here. There's no Shakti. There's no Kamikaze, which is surprising. Kamikaze has been an active player and very successful as well. A lot of signups, but we're missing some of our regulars. No Dorminoko either. No Dorminoko. In this event, we had Master. Mastery takes down Matador. 2-0 takes down Tour. 2-0 takes down Espartano. 2-0 and takes down Inexorable. 3-0. Clean sweep there by Master. Inexorable, we have seen him take maps off of Master before, but usually it is Eric or Inexorable or Kamikaze or Yanji, for example, that can take it to Master. But here, Master goes through undefeated. Clean sweep there out of Master. That leads us into Amantis. Amantis is StarCraft number 46. Speaking of players that can take it to Master, here we had Eric this time. Eric, he takes down Papito 2-0, takes down Inexorable 2-1, and does go up against Master. Initially, Master brings down Eric 3-1 in the upper bracket finals. Eric, he fights back, takes down Inexorable 3-2, went all the way to the ace match. Intense back and forth there between Eric and Inexorable. They have the rematch in the grand finals, goes all the way to the ace match, goes to game 7, and Master does barely get the win over Eric. GG. GG, well played, congratulations. Master, he will claim the win here, and he will advance as the champion of this month's Amantis of StarCraft, as this is a monthly tournament. That lead for the Brazilian team, that leads us into Insane Master Killers Champions 2025 Primavera. Here we go. I also didn't realize that this entire time there was a Verano, which is the next season. True. So it looks like this is going to be a seasonal event. Up first, though, it wrapped up. We have our champions here, and coming into this, I was favoring Dark Unnamed, but no, Havertz. Okay, not even just Havertz, by the way. Havertz, the Bolivian Zerg player there. Bolivia takes down Dark Unnamed 2-0. Dark Unnamed dethroned as the best player in Bolivia, and does go up against Solstice in the grand final. Solstice, who went down to Dark Unnamed earlier, but he does win in the rematch 2-1. Huge win there for Solstice as well. And in the end, Dark Unnamed wasn't even in the finals. That's crazy. Wasn't even in the finals. Solstice takes down Havertz 3-1 to become this season's Insane Master Killers champion. GG, well played. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Solstice for becoming our Insane Master Killer champion, for becoming the Insane Master. True. And that will lead us into the Summer Edition. The Summer Edition, that is what Verano is. Verano is summer. So again, looks like it's going to be a seasonal event leading into an end-of-year finals. So we're going to have another Insane Master Killer tournament coming up on the horizon. Look forward to it. Scheduled to begin end of June. End date, end of the year. Let's go. I'm ready for it. Ready for it. Up next, we have the Hungarian Pro Series, Sunday Cup number 2. Again, we've been slowly working up towards the main Vortex event over in Budapest. So we're kind of building up to that. Here we did have our top players as usual. We had Nihed, we had PSZ, we had Panda, we had Robbie G, Milka, Milka also showing up. For those who don't know, this is a part of a greater Hungarian circuit leading into an offline event in Budapest. We've been seeing a lot of these events taking place here to finally get our final seeds and standings for the offline tournament. And this event also did provide some Vortex points. No direct seeds, just points to eventually make it through and to eventually be invited, essentially, to seed into the event. Here we had PSZ take down Robbie G 2-0, take down Nihed 2-0, but Nihed, he does bounce back in the rematch, takes down Panda 2-1, and then claims the win 3-1 against PSZ in the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Nihed for claiming the win. And best of luck. I think we still have a couple of tournaments left. Yeah, last chance qualifier. There's still the last chance qualifier remaining before we have our confirmed final standings for who is going to be a part of that offline event in Budapest. So best of luck. That'll be taking place next week, the 4th of June. 4th of June. That leads us into Legacy Weekly Japan. This is our weekly open tournament for the Japanese players, and I'm ready for some boba. Do we get it? Yeah, let's go. Tapioca takes on Crimson 2-0, takes on Akira 2-1, and takes on Hirekui 2-0 as well. Congratulations to Tapioca for claiming another win. It's a rare sight to see Tapioca go down. And shout out to Akira for taking a map off of the boba. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Tapioca. That leads us into the DSB Monthly Cup number 1. Looks like a new monthly tournament for the Chinese region, because we don't have enough. But what I will say is that this is an amateur event. As you can see here, we have amateur players, not notable like established players instead. Interesting to see. We always do appreciate these events that are showcasing some more up-and-coming players, I should say. We have a massive round-robin group stage. I say round-robin, a massive Swiss group stage, or Swiss stage, initially. So a lot of matches, a lot of games. And the final playoffs bracket will soon be seeded. Soon, TM. Soon. We'll get there. I'm very unfamiliar with any of these players. I don't recognize any of them, I don't think. There's maybe one. Hold on, let me just double-check here. This Protoss and Zerg player. So I know him. 19 years old. Terror Project translates to Xiaoba. I think we've seen him in brackets before, and likewise we have Clown Frog. Ah, yes, the Clown Frog. Beautiful. Oh, that's Keyboard Superman. That's a Keyboard Warrior. Ah, so he's ID changed to Clown Frog. Okay.
Is that an upgrade?
Oh no, he went from the Keyboard Warrior to the Clown Frog. I mean, it depends, you know. It depends how he plays now. We'll see. I look forward to it. I mean, that's a fun name. It's I like it. It's good. Yeah. So I'm gonna be favoring them just because we've seen them competing in tournaments before. But best of luck. Best of luck to the Clown Frog. And best of luck to Xiaoba as well. That leads us into the StarCraft II weekly open tournament. Again, this is the open tournament for the Chinese region, for the Chinese scene. Bear that in mind. This is sponsored by Thunder Fire. Massive tournament here. A $500 prize pool. We got the best of the best from the Chinese region and from the surrounding region, I should say, as here we have Lemon. Lemon, he has won quite a number of these tournaments, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Silky in the finals. I'll have to double check there. Yes. Okay, so that is Silky. So Lemon, he takes down Ghost Runner 2-0. He takes down... Ooh. I don't know who that is. Takes down... that's Tsukinu. God damn it. Takes down Tsukinu 2-0. Takes down Smile 2-0 as well to advance into the grand finals. Meanwhile, Silky, he took down... Ooh, that is... I think that's Sarah Kerrigan, not Millennium Fox. Yep, yeah, there we go. Takes on Sarah Kerrigan 2-1. Sarah Kerrigan did take a map off of Silky, very nice. At the same time, Misaki also took a map of as well. Silky, that's a 2-0 over Xiaobao. Xiaobao, who was playing in the previous amateur events, takes him down 2-0 as he gets a walkover win over Cyan. Who did Xiaobao? Who did he beat in the previous round? Who is that? Someone who I don't know. Okay. Guming. So we have Silky. He does advance on to the grand finals to face off against Lemon, and that's a 2-1 win for Silky. GG, well played. I think that's Silky's first win here for the StarCraft II weekly tournaments. GG, well played. A big win for Silky. Big win. As Lemon is usually the dominant force here. Speaking of Lemon being the dominant force, we next have the StarCraft II Weekly Open Tournament 2026 Season 1 Number 8 Tournament. No surprise here, Lemon, he regains his throne. He regains his throne here. He does claim the win. Lemon, he takes down Millennium Fox 2-0 in the second round. Takes down Rewide 2-0. Takes down Jeshi 2-1 as Terran, by the way. Let's go. Does race switch. He actually played both Terran and Protoss in that final series. Takes down Jeshi. Meanwhile, ooh, who is this? Who is this? Protoss player, Chinese characters. Is this Nanyu? Let's have a look. No, not Nanyu. Hold on. No. Sorry, is this Nanami Chiaki? That's what I meant to say. That's he's the clown. It's the clown, Bobby. The clown frog, the keyboard warrior. Okay. Takes down High Assassin 2-0. Takes down Methuselah 2-0. Takes down, I don't know who that is. Sama? Someone Sama? Chin Sama takes him down 2-1 and does forfeit against Lemon in the finals. That's a bit of a shame here. I will say, who the hell seeded this bracket? The upper bracket has Millennium Fox, Rewide, Cyan, Jeshi, Joloa Loves, Misaki, Lemon, everyone. SCV, Jesus, I didn't even realize. SCV's up there as well. All the top players in the upper half of the bracket. The bottom half has Triple H. That's it. So it's because of that. I would say that the lower bracket didn't necessarily bring forward the most competitive player here, and that might have been the reason why there was a forfeit in the finals. Hard to say, but GG well played. Lemon does claim the win. This is why you see the brackets, because I know that notoriously the SE boy admins, they just randomize. They didn't even care. They just random it up and they just send it. SMH. But GG well played. Congratulations, Lemon, for claiming the win. That leads us into Lily Cup. Lily Cup number 51. This is an irregular tournament hosted by Saber. Saber is Lil Lee. And we had a 2v1. Oh. We had a 2v1, and I believe that is a duo of Sarah Kerrigan and Millennium Fox. Yeah, that is a duo of Sarah Kerrigan and Millennium Fox. Joining forces, coming together to take down Classic. Oh boy, GG, well played. And they do win 4-1. Now, was this Archon mode or 2v1? That's the real question here. It's hard to say, but I'm assuming Archon mode. I'm assuming it was an Archon mode here.
Considering they are playing on 1v1 maps, I think it had to be Archon.
Yeah. It's got to be Archon mode here, I would imagine, as they did take down Classic. I mean, that's huge. That's big here for Millennium and for Sarah Kerrigan to claim the win here over Classic. Fun fact, by the way, if you look at the prize money, they might have won, but Classic still walks away with 125 USD, as opposed to the 30 USD of the duo. So I think again, GG well played. They do claim the win, but it looks like they still wanted to compensate Classic for his time, and they still gave him the brunt of the prize money there. GG. Oh, hold on, what? Something's weird. Did he play Protoss? I asked that just because if you look at the participants on the right hand side, there's a Zerg player there. Hold on. Do we have to fix something?
Investigation mode on.
Yeah, hold on. I'm watching the VOD. I'm watching the VOD. It's on Bilibili. Okay, looks like Classic did play Protoss. Okay. So it looks like there's just something weird with the info box. Wasn't updated properly. But yeah, just double checking. Oh, they even had cams for a Classic. They had a webcam. Let's go. The production value, crazy. It's very scuffed production value, by the way. But he did play Protoss. Okay. Just confirm. Just confirm he did play Protoss.
Like their graphics they did for the show matches, like that level
True.
scuffed.
Oh, they're missing one here. There's no graphic. Feels bad, man. But GG, well played. Congratulations to Millennium Fox and to Sarah Kerrigan for claiming the win. That leads us into our next event. That leads us into the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts, number 119. Okay, un momento.
60,
number 100. Sorry, 116. Here we did have an interesting pairing. We had the Basilisk matchup between Raynor and GG Machine. Interesting. We had the fun one with Sebestis and Eba, and we had the good one with Percival and Young Jakob. Okay, so Sebestis versus Eba. Eba playing Protoss. Sebestis does bring him down 3-0. Big win there for Sebestis. Leads us into the good one. Percival versus Young Jakob. It does go 3-1 in favor of Percival, and then we had the Basilisk one. Raynor versus GG Machine. This has happened a couple of times where I feel like the opponent for the Basilisk player is. It's a weird opponent. Like I feel like there's a bit of a skill disparity here between the players. I love GG Machine, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, he's a great player, but it also feels weird to pit him against Raynor, where I feel like he's better suited versus like Percival or versus Young Jakob. So a little bit odd there, not gonna lie. But hey, you took a map, you know. To be fair, did take a map of Raynor. Very well done. Very well done. GG, well played. As GG Machine does cause a bit of an upset there, taking a map in the end over Raynor. That leads us into the Big Brain Bouts number 117. Here we have oh my god, here we have the, speaking of God damn it. We have the Basilisk one between Solar and Trigger. We have the fun one between Cygnus and Ledlix, and we have the good one between Spirit and Nicaract. Okay. So Cygnus takes down Ledlix 3-0. Big win for Cygnus, by the way. I don't see him to compete too often in these 1v1 formats, so very well done. We then have Spirit versus Nicaract in a TBT. Spirit does claim the win 3-0. And then we have Trigger versus Solar in a PVZ. Does go the way of Solar in the end. This is another example of that where I'll be honest, like I feel like I feel like Trigger, he's at that level. I feel like Trigger, Solar, and Spirits, they're a little bit closer in skill. I feel like it was a bit weird to throw Nicaract in there against Spirit. Like that did seem a little bit one-sided or lopsided there. It is TBT, and Nicaract can pop off in TBT, to be fair. But interesting pairings is what I will say. Interesting. GG, well played. GG, well played. Congratulations to our winning teams, to our winning players, as that leads us into something that I had no idea was happening, by the way. I'll be honest, I never even heard of this. The Shopify Rebellion Sunday #1, Division A, B, and C.
So, for context of why you never heard about it, is because nobody heard about it. Hearthstone just went live and announced that it's happening, basically. From what we know, like, nobody knew it was happening, and I was watching the Discord channel as the Wikipedia, like, editors were, like, scrambling for information, like, trying to build a page of the things that they heard about it. There was no announcements, no.
God damn it, Hearthstone. Or Shopify, right? I don't know if it's Hearthstone's job to promote the events, so... SMH, Shopify, and Hearthstone, and Lambo as well, because Lambo was also casting, I believe, alongside Hearthstone. But regardless, so I had no idea this was happening. We have the Shopify Rebellion Sundays. Looks like we have 3. It's kind of weird that we have 3 different pages, just because each page is its own show match. In my mind, this would make more sense if this was set up like the Basilisk page, where they show 3 different show matches on one page, where we could have 3 different show matches on one page as well.
The reason is purely technical, because the automated prize pools are having some issues with all the matches being on the same page. And I think the Basilisk one is an exception, and I think they specifically said they don't want to do it this way because it breaks some things. I didn't exactly get into details, but like the reason is technical, is what I'm saying.
So it sounds like probably the Bastos one is done manually, and they don't want to do it manually. I guess that's probably what it sounds like to me, at least.
That I don't know.
In regards to, yeah. But here we go. So first things first, we have Division C. Division C. I don't know why they call that. By the way, it's kind of weird. You can make an argument that the players in Division C are greater than the players in Division B. But I'll be honest.
Yeah, there are 3 divisions, and when you win, I think, enough show matches, you can like advance a division or something. Some kind of advancing like format.
So say winner from a given series gets reinvited the following week. Winning 3 weeks in a row qualifies for a higher division. Okay, and division is just different prize pool, different prize amount of prize money. And there's a $300 USD prize pool split amongst all the 3 show matches. So first we have Young Yakov versus SOS. Young Yakov does claim the win, 3-1 over SOS. Does claim the win here, and it's winner take all. So he does get 50 USD for taking down SOS, and he's going to be reinvited for the next show match. We then have the Division B show match between Scarlet and Nickrat. Goes all the way to the ace match. Big win here for Scarlet, as Scarlet is very out of practice nowadays, and doesn't really compete too much. But to bring down Nickrat is a big win. That's a very impressive performance here, as Scarlet has claimed the win, earning 100 USD over Nickrat. That then leads us into the Division A matchup, Beyond versus Rainer, and this is huge, by the way. I know that Rainer is washed. I know that I know he's all washed and he's wet. But
washed.
Beyond, true. So for Beyond to claim the win here, that is huge. That's a big upset. Not gonna lie, even a washed Rainer, he's clean, pappy. But despite that, Beyond does bring him down 3-1 to claim the win over Rainer. The thing that I appreciate the most out of this tournament is that it does feature some TLMC maps. That's the one thing that I do appreciate. Pure TLMC map pool here for all the show matches, and of course both Harstem and Lambert are casting it. Does sound like there was a little bit of messiness when it comes to announcing the event, as they didn't announce the event and just run the event itself, but hopefully that does clear up moving forward into future tournaments, hopefully. And GG well played. Congratulations to our winning players. That leads us into the Shovel Rebellion Sunday number 2. Once again, we have our 3 divisions here. For Division C, remember Young Yakov, he won the previous series, so he stays on. He once again wins again. He's just farming these players, papi. Yeah. Takes down Juanito 3-1. Big win there for Young Yakov. Again, Juanito, he's very out of practice nowadays. Whoa, this is not the TLMC map pool. What is this? We have Talisman, Diffusion, Steam City, Double Infinity, Daydreams? What is this? Okay, so I wonder if these are maps that some of these maps I've never heard of. Some of them I have. Some of them are like previous TLMC maps. So that's kind of weird. I would have liked to have seen just more of the current TLMC 22 maps that weren't used in the previous week, to be honest. I mean, it's really cool that they're mixing up the map pool, I guess, but it's kind of weird that they're using maps that are not necessarily relevant at the moment. That's a bit odd. But regardless, Young Yakov does claim the win over Special, 2-1. One more win and he does advance on to the next stage. Meanwhile, we have Gumiho versus Scarlet. They face off in a TVZ. Gumiho takes on Scarlet 3-1. Big win for Gumiho, considering that Gumiho is also out of practice. He's out of practice. He recently did compete in GSL, of course, and now he competes in this as well. So great that they got their hands on Gumiho, and very well done here by Gumiho. Claim the win over Scarlet. If you watch these games, I do appreciate it if you recognize anything about the maps themselves. I would imagine that they're chosen because there are some unique features and they can maybe lead to some wild kind of situations and scenarios. But GG well played. With that leads us into our final show match here, Showtime versus Beyond. And Beyond may have won earlier against Rainer, but now Showtime takes down Beyond 3-2 to claim the win and to be our new reigning Division A champion. GG well played. Again, that means Showtime will stay on and Gumiho will also stay on for next week's matches. GG will play. Congratulations. So it's a unique format. I'm very much so on the fence. If not, I dislike what they're doing with the maps themselves. We'll see. They might just be rolling the dice and just throwing on some random maps every week on a rotation or something. We'll see what happens with the upcoming Shopify Sundays. We'll see. As that leads us into this week's OSC tournaments. Let's go. we have this week's OSC events. We have the OSC Elite Rising Star number 19. We've been diligently covering this event throughout the past couple of weeks. It's been a pretty intense tournament so far, and we have had some interesting results. G Machine takes down Moja 2-0, takes down Art 2-1 to advance on to the upper bracket finals. Great to see Art taking a map off of GG Machine, by the way. Likewise, we had UD Soldier over Hacker's Top, Shameless over Jumi, and we have Shameless versus UD Soldier occurring next week. When it comes to lower bracket here, it was actually, I believe, on the challenge page, but I would say that one of the biggest upsets occurred in the lower bracket involving MiniZerg. MiniZerg, he 2-0'd Milky Cow. Milky Cow is a veteran of the region, veteran of the scene. He's like double MiniZerg's age. So to see MiniZerg take down Milky Cow 2-0 was a huge win for the MiniZerg. So GG, well played.
Hold on. Milky Cow is not that old. It took me a while to process what you just said, but in my mind, Milky Cow is the youngster. What do you mean?
He's double the age, Pappy.
He's
Double the age.
Not.
Old man.
I'm looking up his age right now.
He's as old as Kingslayer. Old man, Milky Cow.
Hold on. We're not moving on from this point. Let me load the page. How old is Milky Cow? Milky Cow is 23.
I was gonna hazard a guess he was 25, 23.
23.
Old man, Milky Cow. He can barely walk without a cane, Papi. Oh my god.
So what you're saying is that MiniZerg is 11, yeah?
Yeah. Exactly. He's almost as old as Eva, almost. But so MiniZerg, he takes down Milky Cow 2-0 to advance on the next round. That's a big win here for Milky Cow. Meanwhile, we have Lelix over Azura. We have Lelix over Hydra as well, and we still have some upcoming matches as well. So looking forward to those games in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming editions of Rising Star. Again, there's a tournament for the up-and-coming talent in StarCraft. Meanwhile, up next is the OSC 2026 mid-season playoffs number 1, which has also slowly been ongoing. I believe Wardy has been mainly covering this event. Wardy alongside Steadfast. They're still pretty early on in the tournament, and there's still not too many updates yet. So we had Max Pax over Eba, Yakov over Nickrak, Chan took down Milky Cow, Percival over Art, Solo took down Fiant to take a map over Solar, true. Bunny over Rebellion, Showtime over Moja, Lambo over Lelix, Bjorn over UD Soldier, and over Nightmare as well. Nightmare defeated G Machine. That's a big win for Nightmare. Damn. Shameless over Jimmy, Harsum over Goblin, Babe Marine over Hydra, and Art versus Geralt. Again, so nothing crazy, nothing too wild here. Just a couple of results here and there as we're slowly progressing through a massive double elimination bracket. We'll get through it eventually. Up next, we had OSC King of the Hill, weekly number 248. This is a King of the Hill style tournament where the winner does stay on, the loser is eliminated, and we had Classic go on a massive win streak. I believe this is the first time that Classic is playing in an OSC tournament, by the way, in an OSC King of the Hill specifically. So he shows up for the first time. It's his debut. He takes down Bjorn, Ledlix, Geralt, Art, Milky Cow, MiniZerg, Percival, Christiana, Nickrak, Solar, Trigger, Arcfire, Mana, Max Pax, before eventually, who brings down Classic? Not Solar, not Max Pax, not Bjorn. Instead, Geralt. Geralt. He takes down Classic 1-0 at the very end to become this week's champion. But again, shout out to Classic for going on a massive win streak, on a massive tear. Crazy performance there by Classic. GG. GG well played. Geralt is going to be invited to be the starting player for the next week, and he is. We have the King of the Hill number 249. Here we have Geralt starting off, but he goes up against Showtime. Showtime does claim the win, and now we have more of a back and forth. Showtime takes on Geralt. Jimmy takes down Showtime. G Machine takes down Jimmy, and G Machine goes on a short win streak here. Takes down Jimmy, Shameless, Nickrat, and Ledlix before eventually falling to Cham. Cham goes on a small win streak as well. Takes down G Machine, Honmono, and Percival before falling to Solar. Solar goes on a win streak. Takes down Cham, Christiana, Fiant, Arcfire before falling to Creator, who falls to Bjorn. So again, we threw down the Koreans towards the end there. Creator takes down Solar, Bjorn takes down a Creator. GG well played. GG well played. Bjorn is going to be the reigning king of the hill for the week. Congratulations to GG Machine for going on the longest win streak here. And again, some other win streaks by Solar, by Cham, by Jumi, Showtime. A good amount of wins here spread out across all these players. GG. GG all played. Shout out to Bjorn for again becoming the final king of the hill. That finally leads us into our weeklies. Jeez. There's just been so many tournaments and so many results to go through. Again, we just had a backlog of 2 weeks worth of PondCast. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, as there was just a lot to embrace, a lot to indulge in. Let's go. For the top, we have KSL. We have the Korean StarCraft League, week number 89. Here we had, geez, a lot of TVP. Classic takes down Perm, takes down Rebellion, and goes up against Beyond in the Grand Finals. They go all the way to the ace match. GG well played this month in the KSL. Classic is going to be our initial KSL champion. Likewise, is a monthly tournament and also was able to showcase a fresh set of TLMC maps. True, this was on a TLMC map pool. Congratulations to Classic. Up next, we have the Adrenal Cup. We had Adrenal Cup number 1. This is a tournament organized and hosted by Mr. Mike MTL. Not someone that I'm too familiar with, as this was a double elimination tournament on likewise also a TLMC map pool. Let's go. I appreciate that. Despite not being very familiar with our organizer here, it does use the TLMC maps. We had Nickrak, Topsaya, we had Patches as well. Nickrak takes down Xvoid 1-0, takes down Topsaya 2-0, and takes down Topsaya 2-0 in the grand finals. GG well played. Nickrak does claim the win. GG well played. That leads us into the WardiTV Monday, number 87. Here we did have a plethora of players. If you remember, the previous edition clashed with the GSL qualifiers, so there were a lot less Korean competitors. This time, I don't think clashed with anything major, so we could actually see some back and forth. We had Classic, Showtime, Solar, and many others. MaxPax takes on Bly 2-1. Yo, Bly has been more active again. He's been a little bit more active these past couple of weeks. I appreciate it. MaxPax takes down Bly 2-1, takes down Classic 2-0, takes down Solar 2-0, and takes down Clem 3-2 in the grand finals. Big win here for MaxPax. But I would say a bigger win in this tournament was Percival. Percival, he did it again. He 2-0'd Cure. Not the first time he's beaten Cure, not the last time. Again, Percival, he is getting good. He takes down Cure 2-0. Huge win for Percival. Does eventually fall to Clem, but a big win nonetheless. Big win nonetheless. As that takes us into the Monday Night Weekly for the week. For last week, sorry, my apologies. We have our Monday Night Weekly. That was later on that evening. Here we once again have a plethora of players. MaxPax takes down Yang Yakov 2-0, takes down Showtime 2-1. Does fall to Classic. This time Classic does get his revenge from the previous tournaments, as Classic took down Bjorn and took down MaxPax. Classic then has a rematch versus MaxPax, and MaxPax, he does claim the win in the end. 4-1 over Classic. GG well played. They have that back and forth in the end. MaxPax does claim the win. Congratulations. I do notice that for this tournament there was no Clem, which is a little bit odd. Clem is usually a regular in these tournaments. Hero likewise was missing from both events as well, but I believe this was in the lead up to the GSL finals, so it makes sense that Hero will not be active in these tournaments. I know that for big events like GSL, Hero does typically, hide his play. As I say that, he hid his play for those tournaments, but bam, he's here for Kung Fu Cup. For the KFC number 8, here we had Hero. Hero takes down Trigger 2-0, takes down Showtime 2-1, and takes down Rogue 3-0 in the grand finals. Big win there for Hero. Does claim the win over Rogue. GG well played. As Rogue did take down Cure in Classic to get there. So I don't want to diminish Rogue's performances, because Rogue actually had a really strong performance to make it to the finals. A surprisingly strong performance. Like, Rogue, in my mind, is still kind of regaining his skill and regathering like his play. So to see Rogue take down Cure in Classic is pretty huge. It's pretty big. Up next, we have Pixar Cup number 82, a weekly open tournament, also in a TLMC map pool. Here we had OS there, Percival. Percival takes down Shameless 3-2, takes down Bjorn in the finals. I mentioned earlier, Bjorn took down Kieran in the WardiTV Monday, and now he takes down Bjorn in the finals of the Pixar Cup as well. Huge win, specifically in TVT for Percival. Again, Percival, he's looking like a beast against Terran, looking like a beast against Protoss. It's versus Zerg, where Percival does struggle a little bit more, but he's getting there. GG well played. That leads us into the Sparkling Tuning Cup, the STC number 132. Here we had our top players, Björn and Classic, reaching each other. Classic took down Gref and GG Machine to make it to the finals. Björn took down Extra Striker and Young Yakov to make it to the finals as well. Shout out to Young Yakov for taking a map off of Björn. Then we had our back and forth. Went all the way to the ace match. Classic takes down Björn 3-2 in the grand finals. I will say these were really fun games on the new map pool, especially on Rorschach. Rorschach was insanely aggressive, insanely intense. Lumen as well. Lumen and Rorschach, amazing games. Do recommend it. GG well played. That leads us into this month's Platinum StarCraft League tournaments. Again, this was casted by Rotterdam this month. Here we had our top players. We had Percival. Percival takes down Art 2-1, takes down Monster 3-0. A player that I've been seeing him pop up a little bit more as of late. I think he played in our tournament, right? I think he signed up.
He did.
Monster. Yeah. He was the guy who, I think he was like in an hour-long series or something like it. I remember he was holding up a part of the bracket, but Percival, no, yeah, he took a map off of GG Machine, right? Yeah. I remember calling that out. Here he takes out Extra Striker as well, like Monster. He's been getting some good results. Percival takes out Monster 3-0, and then Percival takes out Nick Ratch 3-0 in the grand finals. GG well played. Art was the only player to make Percival bleed in this tournament. So GG well played. That leads us into this week's WardiTV Monday. This was, again, yesterday's broadcast. Here we had the return of Clem, and we had the return of Hero as well. So here we had Max. He takes down Lambo 2-0. Max will fall to Classic. Classic also took down Hero, so Classic popping off in the PvPs takes down Hero and Max in this tournament. But he does end up falling to Clem. Clem took down Shameless, Cure, and then Classic in the grand finals. Went all the way to the ace match. Was a close back and forth, but did in the end go the way of Clem at 3-2. GG well played. Congratulations. Clem does claim the series. That leads us into this week's Monday Night Weekly later on that day, also on the TLMC map pool. Here we likewise had the return of Hero, but no Clem. Clem, he did not stay up for this tournament. Hero did, Clem did not. Hero, he takes down Shameless 2-1, takes down Solar 2-0. Solar did defeat Classic on the way to that match, so big win there for Solar earlier in the tournament. Björn gets his revenge over Percival. Percival, he 2-1 Max. Massive win for Percival, but if you remember, I mentioned that Percival right now he can beat almost any Terran and Protoss in the world, and hey, he beats Max, he beat Björn, he beat Cure. In this tournament, Björn does get his revenge, but again, Percival is a very, very terrifying player because, fun fact, Percival took down Max in the upper bracket, and who defeats Max in the lower bracket? Percival as well. Again, Percival, he 3-1s Max essentially in this tournament. Crazy performance. Meanwhile, Hero, he 2-0s Björn in the upper bracket, and he 2-0s Björn in the grand finals. Hero, the only map dropped was the Shameless. True. Only the Shameless in the PvP, but Hero, he does claim the win. As this does mark Hero's return to the Monday Night Weeklies. And again, shout out to Percival, he once again went all the way to the ace match against Björn, but Björn did still claim that win over Percival. GG well played. Congratulations to Hero. As that wraps up our tournaments for the week. A very intense week of StarCraft. A lot of matches, a lot of StarCraft. And to be fair, there's still a couple of other events to go this week. Our PondCast this week was a little bit earlier in the week than usual, so there's still the Kung Fu Cup. No, sorry, there's no Kung Fu Cup this week, right?
I think it's on right now, actually.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have Kung Fu Cup that's currently ongoing. We have Pegasus Cup tomorrow. Bear that in mind. So we have Pegasus Cup tomorrow, and we have the KSL likewise on the horizon, as it looks like the sign-up list still has to be updated here. But again, Kung Fu Cup is going to be next week. That'll be the next Kung Fu Cup. We have SDO on the horizon, MS on the horizon, STC on the horizon as well. A lot of content, a lot of StarCraft. So if you want to take part in these tournaments, you can do so via the sign-up list. Does need to be updated, but soon will be updated. Do not worry, do not fret. We do our best to provide sign-ups for all the upcoming tournaments out there. with said sign up list. Otherwise, if you want to support us, you can do so via Patreon. !Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. It funds our Tunic Cups, it funds our Duckling Opens and our Swan Opens as well. We host a lot of events on a regular basis. Recently, we've been a little bit irregular with our tournaments. I do apologize. We've been doing our best to make sure that SDO and MSO is still represented on a monthly basis, but STC has been struggling, and that is because of all the tournaments. GSL, RSL, Ubu Thermals tournaments, Masters of the Game. It's just been a very dense May. Very, very dense. But you know what that means? June's gonna be lean. Let's go.
Why do you keep saying it? You know you're jinxing it. You're jinxing it so hard.
I'm manifesting it into reality. Look. Because May is so jam-packed, it means that June or July or maybe August.
No,
maybe.
July is already completely busy. Have you looked at our calendar?
No. What's happening in July? Oh no, yes, July is big. July is it's a little bit busy in July, and we have Home Story Cup on the horizon as well. But you know what? August.
No.
August is looking pretty good. It's looking. I'm looking at August right now, and if there's no GSL season 3, then August is looking pretty good. So
I think GSL season 3 is supposed to be like towards the end of the
November.
year. Like November.
Yeah, it's scheduled for November. Yeah. So August, once we get there, we can have a lean month. We can have a lean month. Let's go.
How could you?
Oh, God. It's look, there's always a lot of StarCraft going on. We do our best. I do apologize just because we do our best to cast as much as we can, and we do, but there's still so much more going on. I feel bad every time like Patches reaches out. He's like, yo, you want to cast a Patch Clash? And I'm like, happy. What do you want from me? Or another one is the Platinum Heroes, the Platinum StarCraft League. That shout out to Tassat. He's always reaching out and being like, yo, you want to cast? And I'm like, I can't do it. What can we do, man? What can we do? We're all booked up. For the Platinum StarCraft League, or for the Patches Patch Clash, or Little League Cup, or remember the Inu battles, for example. What's another thing that comes to mind? Masters of the Game, true. Masters of the Game. There's a lot of OSC King of the Hill, true. Like there's a lot of these tournaments that if we could, we would cast, but we're casting everything else, so there's no room. But you know what? If we could, we would. I'll say that. We could, we would. August. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Otherwise, that does wrap up our schedule here for the week, or our podcast for the week. Once again, there are some topics that we weren't able to cover. We'll do so next time in regards to some content made by Uthermal, by Rainer, the Tabletop Managers game AMA. I'm very interested in catching up with that as well. There's a lot that's going on right now, and we'll be catching up next week in the next podcast. Otherwise, thank you so much to Kuro for handling the production side of things. Shout out to all those in the chat that did tune in, of course, and hope you guys have a great week. When it comes to our schedule here, we're going to be back tomorrow, of course, with Pegasus Cup. We're going to be casting Pegasus Cup in the morning, and we have the GSL Renovate beginning tomorrow evening. It's going to be a 2-day event. GSL Renovate Day 1 and Day 2 is going to be on Wednesday and Thursday. Meanwhile, we have Pegasus Cups also on Wednesday and Thursday. We have our catch-up stream on Thursday to catch up on the previous week of Pegasus Cup, and we have COVID Giants Cup and more StarCraft over the weekend. Plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. We'll see you then. We'll see you then for Pegasus Cup. See you then. See you tomorrow. Until then, ciao. Papi ciao. Hasta luego.